because of how these corporate organizations and technologies source for information. There is no compensation, there is no permission on copyright and intellectual property of many creatives out there. Of course, there are benefits to using artificial intelligence. We see a lot of young people who are eager for quick results, and then there is speed, there is excitement, at least at the beginning, that, oh, I never knew how to create or animate or illustrate something, and now simply by telling this artificial intelligence I want a particular kind of look and feel for my artwork or for my creation, and then it's able to produce something similar. The excitement is there. And then for capitalists, venture capitalists and investors, what they are looking out for is the profitability. But the danger also is in the total reliance on such tools, because in the near future, it's easy to imagine that, okay, people are no longer interested in the grit and the work that it requires to go through process to get specific types of result, because people want speed, people want instant result. They do not want to wait for 10 days to get a production out or to get a research of something out. They want it instantly. And human beings can never be able to compete with artificial intelligence that almost runs at the speed of light. And so corporate giants, capitalists, venture capitalists, and investors are looking for profits, but at whose cost and detriment? Now, I came across quite a number of documentaries on some of the data centers located in different parts of the world, and how the presence of some of those organizations and their data centers has negatively impacted the life quality of those living in such areas, especially residents. And I remember coming across one that talked about water supply, because these power plants and AI data centers are reliant heavily on fresh water, and some of these residents no longer had access to water easily. Their water was either contaminated or polluted, and they had mud running through their pipes. Some of it cost so much to rectify the damage, and yet they still rely on a lot of filters to just get clean water. So it was a whole lot to take in, and this is just for a few people who are able to speak up. And so imagine a world where almost all of the structures and systems for work, for everyday living, for earning, for industry, for markets are heavily dependent on artificial intelligence. That means that the number of data centers, the reliance on such organizations and corporate giants increases. And there's also the danger of also pricing, where such organizations can just wake up one day, because you're totally reliant on them, they increase their prices. Are you able to afford not being able to use those tools? Do you have an alternative to solving your problems without them? And so some of these eliminations there. So what's the balance? And then finally, are there regulatory bodies for these corporate giants that ensures that all they continue to do is ethical? Because at the moment it doesn't seem that way, because lots of creatives are being shut down. Some of them are no longer earning on platforms because their work flagged as AI, because of the oversaturation of similar items that are taken from the original work they've done and put out there. And so what happens when there is no compensation? What happens when there's no regulation? What happens when there's total reliance? What happens to the next generation that doesn't understand process? Even with the Gen Zs, they understand process to a large extent, and some of them are able to apply that knowledge into new technologies that emerge. As a matter of fact, some of these young people are responsible for the ideas behind some artificial intelligence innovations. And so, where is the balance? What are your thoughts, guys? What do you think can be done? What's the way forward? What are the ethical things that need to be put in place? How can this be curbed? Because millions of people, billions of people's work is being invaded, and without compensation, without permission. And many people do not think it doesn't affect them until it begins to. because if this is happening in the creative industry, it's only a matter of time it translates into other industries, and when you begin to realize, okay, everything that is original to me is being just taken and just replicated. It's just like someone creating something and then they just wake up and it's all over in the marketplace. People are profiting off it, because that's exactly what's happening with creatives. Some of them have platforms that have generated artwork as a result of other original artists, and they are earning from such platforms. Sometimes even these original artists, their work is flagged as artificial intelligence because of the oversaturation. So what then happens then when that continues? Of course, there are benefits when you think about the speed, you think about the contribution, the vast research work that people have access to, automation that makes some work easier. But even in automation, there's beginning to emerge feedback that talks about how people no longer get genuine feedback from a human being, especially those in HR. Maybe there's a complaint somewhere along the line during an application process, and even the responses about those complaints are not handled by a human being, they're handled by artificial intelligence. So the problem isn't solved or resolved. And so what's the way forward? And then you think about some of the benefits where artificial intelligence is used during, let's say, a convocation ceremony where names are properly pronounced, because you have a technology in place that ensures that names are correctly pronounced, which many people appreciate. You know, there are other areas where artificial intelligence is truly beneficial, but is it beneficial to our detriment, or is it beneficial to the corporate giants, to the capitalists, to the investors who are earning profits from such innovations? Let's talk in the comment section. What do you guys think can be done? Where's the balance? Do we need a regulatory body that ensures that some things are put in place? What are the policies that you're aware of that are being passed or pushed forward to ensure that there's a kind of balance? Is anyone really doing anything about this? Should we even be using artificial intelligence, especially when we think about all of those movies that talk about the end of the world and the dystopian views of so many things, you know, Black Mirror and all that? So what can be done? What do you guys think? I'd like to hear your feedback and your thoughts.